Hello, everyone. Welcome to WGSN-DB Going Solo Network. This is the Author's Corner, Meet the Author, and I'm your host, Cece Schatz. I'm the doyen of relationships. You're asking yourself, what the heck is a doyen? Well, let me tell you. I'm actually a leader bringing together wonderful individuals that's going to help move you through to living your best life. And so you can find all of our shows right there on goingsolomedia.com. And if you ever want to send me an email, I love them. It's called, my email is goingsolonetwork@gmail.com. But let's not waste any time because we've got an important subject we're going to be covering today. We're going to be covering divorce, but also the restructure of relationships in divorce. And we have a wonderful guest with us here today. Let's bring her forward. Hello, Jen Mitchell. How are you?
Hi, Cece. I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. Well, Jen is going to talk to us a little bit about restructuring relationships during and after divorce. She is one of our elite guests. She is an attorney. She does family law attorney. She's a mediator, health and wellness life coach. And you have a wonderful business called Solace Divorce Mediation. We're going to talk a little bit more about that in the show, but I want to cover everything at the beginning. So those of you listening, you can definitely get all the information. She's also the author of a book that's called, Stress, Less Stress or something like that. I'm sorry. What was the name of the other book? It's
So that was one that I...
Divorce.
Yes.
Divorce. Okay. And you have a new book that's going to be coming out here, which is Stress, Divorce, and Divorce Revolution, Debunking the Litigation and Myth. And now you're also doing this now. You're editing the book. So that's going to be out soon.
Yes.
Yes.
So exciting.
Oh, I'm excited.
Can't wait.
I'm excited about it. But this is why I wanted Jen to come on the show with us, because she has a new way of helping couples go through emotionally difficult process of divorce. And she really helps the couples restructure their relationships from married to friends to co-parents. And that is so vital in today's world as we move forward, make that transition from our lives, from being married to divorce to being single. And so let's talk a little bit about that. How did you get into coming from family law into doing more of the mediation and more of the health and wellness and that transition of divorce?
Yeah. So my journey, I started off, I've been a family law attorney for 14 years. And so I started just like most law students. I started working at a law firm and I was a litigation attorney. And so my job as an attorney, a litigation attorney, was to be a zealous advocate for my client and just look out for his or her best interest in a divorce. And the thing about the best interest in a divorce in the courtroom setting is that it doesn't focus on their health and well-being of the relationship with their co-parent or the health and well-being of their children. It's just that one person. And in a divorce, it's not just one person, it's a family. And after the divorce, they need to restructure into co-parents. And so when I was a litigation attorney, I did the role, I acted the part, and I enjoyed it. And then I had my own children. I had 3 kids in 39 months. So they're all singlets. And I just did it all really quickly.
I was a little all at once.
Older. It wasn't all at once, but it was real quick. And it was when I had my youngest, who is now 6, that I realized what I was doing in the courtroom setting by playing this part of the litigation attorney and being the zealous advocate. I was destroying other people's children and destroying people and destroying families. And I realized that the impact of what I was doing was bigger than just the family unit and those people. It was also, they have interactions with people throughout their divorce journey. And so it's affecting people's personal relationships with friends and family. It's affecting people's work. And so I realized at that point in time, I need to do something different. I didn't want to do that for my career. I didn't want that for my children to see that I was participating in that. It just did not feel aligned with me at all. So I became a certified life coach. When that happened, I realized I can't litigate anymore. So I gave all my cases, I referred them out. I told my clients, I can't do this anymore. I had just like a physical, emotional, mental, spiritual awakening where I realized I couldn't do it. So I referred them all out. And then I became a life coach, and I thought, well, maybe this is my new career path, because I love talking about, living your best life and goal setting, and, how getting the tools and resources to achieve those goals that you set. And while I was taking the certification training, I realized, you know what, this would be perfect for people to know this information when they're going through one of the most difficult emotional experiences of their life. And so at that point, I decided, when I was litigating, it was probably 95% litigation cases and 5% mediation cases. And when I took the life coaching, I realized, you know what, I could just make this 100% mediation, which really empowers the couple to work together and create the agreements. And I'm licensed in Illinois. So the law in Illinois is create the agreements for the parenting plan that are in the best interest of their child, which obviously they're the best authorities to determine that, because they are the parents of these kids. They've known them since they found out they were pregnant. And then for the marital settlement agreement in Illinois, it's a fair and equitable state. So to have the couple work together to create the agreements that are most fair and equitable to their unique marriage. And again, I feel like these people are the best authorities because they've been living in their marriage since day one. They know everything that's gone into it. They know what's important to them, financially, with regards to stuff, right? And they know what's important to the other person. And so I see divorce as an opportunity, this extraordinary opportunity that we're given. Anyone who's going through it, obviously it's different, right? I went through my own divorce a year ago, so I'm over that now. When I was in it, it's different. It's a very difficult emotional experience, but it's in times in our life that are difficult that we are given the greatest opportunities to learn more about ourselves and to heal and to grow into the people we're meant to be. And so, yeah, I love the work that I do. And I love talking with you, Cece, because we're so like-minded on this. It's all about.
I so love it because, here you're taking a really difficult situation and we look at it as just being divorced, right? We're going through the divorce process, but we're kind of dropping the ball as trying to restructure our lives as we're going through that process. Mm-hmm. And all we're focusing on is just getting through that divorce. And then when we get through, so many people have said to me, okay, I got divorced. Now what do I do?
Right.
And they're like, all their pain and agony and mind and energy has gone into this process. Mm-hmm. They don't know, they have no idea what to do. And
right.
So, and you're fighting and you're bickering and you're making all of these difficult things at difficult times. So I think it's definitely the mediation is truly, I think, the face of divorce now. We need to really make sure that people know that that's an avenue for them to be able to go in to try to work out what they need to do and then step forward. I mean, I cannot tell you, Jen, how many times I have heard like grandparents say, I can't see, Debbie and whatever, Becky now because they're divorced and that's the hole that
it's awful.
That we haven't restructured that family environment.
Right.
So what would you say to those that are traveling now through that process? And maybe they're going through the litigation, divorce, or maybe they're going through the mediation. But how can they start with that mindset of, okay, we realize we're getting a divorce, but our family is still there. We're still a family unit.
Yes.
So how do we keep that family unit intact where we do it in a civilized way that is very healing for our children? So
yes.
Help us with a few tips on that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think first and foremost, anyone who is going through a divorce in the midst of this, right, they know. But it's really important to really hone in on that it's just as much a legal process as it is an emotional process. Mm-hmm. And in the courtroom setting, the problem with litigation cases most often, right, the reason that they're so contentious and just awful is because the sole focus in litigation is on the legal process. When I was a litigator, there are no tools to help people get through the emotional processing of what this is to help them restructure from marriage to co-parents. And I love that you identified that the family, because you're still a family. After you get a divorce, that doesn't mean you're not a family anymore. You're still a family. You're just a different family than you were before. And I think if we can go into this experience with this mindfulness of that and this bigger picture approach of realizing it's okay if you're not vibing in this setting as married anymore and it's just not working anymore, that's okay. We just need to restructure to co-parents. And when we're doing this, we need to be very clear in our narrative with our loved ones, with our children, with our extended family, with our circle of friends. Because what you touched upon is so prevalent, where people feel, even when I was going through my own divorce, I had friends say to me, oh gosh, now what does this mean? I can only be friends with you. I can't be friends with Aaron. It's like,
True.
It is. And it's crazy. It's like, no, you can still be friends with both of us. We're still the same people that we were before. We're still mom and dad to our children. We're still going to see each other all the time. We're still a family. We're still going to spend time together as a family. And I think that's missing too. You know, when I was the litigator, it was so cut and dry. It was every case, and it was every single case. If you celebrate Christmas, whatever parent gets Thanksgiving, the other parent gets Christmas, and then you rotate every year. And that was just like the mentality. And that's a perfect example of like how that litigation courtroom setting operates. It's like, that doesn't capture family. You know, I mean, that's not all about children. I mean, why can't we spend time together during those holidays? You know, if they're important to you, if you have extended family or circle of friends that you normally celebrate with, why can't we still do that? Why does it have to be such a weird thing if people aren't married anymore? It's like, to me, it's just, it's not work. If it's not working, it's not working. If it is working, and that's the other thing. When I share this, people are like, oh, you hate marriage. I don't hate marriage. I love marriage. If it's working, I love it. I love weddings. They're my favorite event to go to, you know. But if it's not working, it's not working. Why are we spending time in if you've done the work to try to see, you know, can we fix this? Can we make this work? If you've done that work and you've gotten to the point where you can't, that's okay. And I think the shared narrative with everyone, and something I always coach my clients on when they start sharing, and I'm sure, Cece, you see this all the time. When you talk about divorce with people, it's like the word divorce in and of itself is so heavy. It's like,
don't go. I've gone to parties and they go, oh, you're the divorced person. I was like, what?
Yes, it's crazy. And when you start sharing it with people in their face, it's like people are trained, you know, it's like they look sad at you. Oh, I'm so sorry. What happened? You know, and it's like, you don't want to hear that. If you're someone who has gone through this journey of trying to make your marriage work, working so hard, doing everything you could to get reconnected again, and you can't, because it's just, you're different. And I think the heart of all divorce is just energy. It's an energy vibration imbalance. I think when you get married, you're vibing, right?
Right. That's very true. You know, and too, I think that if you have a family, you know, if you have, it is harder, I think, for those that are maybe are you know, single and they don't have any kids or whatever. And so that's a different scenario. But when you do have a family, if you can take the focus off of the pain that you might feel of breaking up, and you put the focus on the children, trying to get them through, trying to create a family environment for them, trying to keep them feeling secure, because that's when they start feeling insecure about things. If you start doing that together, working with that together, it really makes the road much easier to travel.
Absolutely.
You're not bickering so much about things. You're focusing on a positive. You're focusing on trying to get through things in a very positive way and working things out. And it's true, you know, about the holidays, you know, you get going back and forth. Well, this is my time. This is like,
yes, I know. It's just awful.
I know. It becomes really difficult.
Difficult.
So if you could try to put that aside, that would be the better thing to do.
Yeah. And I think it's just, that's what my upcoming book, Divorce Revolution, it's the heart of that book is just, I believe that we need to change the way we're looking at divorce and the way people are experiencing divorce, because I truly believe that divorce happens to people just like everything in life. I believe everything in life happens as it should, when it should. And so if you're finding yourself in this situation where you're getting a divorce, I think divorce is just a series of choices from start to finish. And the first choice is, how am I individually going to view and experience my divorce process? And if it's happening, if it's going to happen anyway, then what I want to do with my work and with beautiful souls like you and other like-minded people is to just help people shift the way they're looking at this. It doesn't have to be this awful battle. You know, it's already a hard enough emotional experience to go through. And just like any other hard time in our life, it's there for a reason. COVID is a great example. COVID is here shaking everybody up at the same time, which means massive change is going to happen, because any time in our life that is difficult, it's there for a reason. We're supposed to use this time to take really good care of ourselves. That's like the foundation of divorce, don't you think? Like self-care and self-love, and really using this opportunity to learn more about yourself and to really ask yourself the questions of, okay, how did I get here? Like, what did I like about this marriage?
Now, you're very wise. You're very wise, because that is true. I mean, I think a lot of times that our ego maybe gets in the way.
Yes.
You know? And so then that's why the bickering and the fighting is so strong. But if we can step out of our ego, step into ourselves, and really trying to evaluate, how did we get here? Then we start emerging, because when we get a divorce, it's not, and I tell people often, it's not always just their fault, you know?
No,
it just happens to them. We played a part in it, and we have to understanding. I mean, maybe, you know, if there was unfaithfulness or whatever like that, of course, there's different elements that come into play with but in different healing processes that we have to go through. But we also, there's some sort of part that we played in it. We have to understand that, you know, to be able to be real about it.
Yep, absolutely. And even with infidelity, right, which is a huge, I mean, that is just so difficult to process and get through. But if we can just, again, change the way we're looking at that too, and recognize that everyone comes into our life for a reason. And the people that we choose to marry, and if, you know, even furthering that, if you decide to have children with and have this lifelong relationship with, those people, our spouses, they are the exact people that we needed on our journey to learn the lessons that we needed to learn. And sometimes with something as difficult as infidelity, that's a real big lesson, right? And every person's journey is different. And so every time when I work with couples, I tell them that you're going through this for a reason. You know, I don't know what that reason is. It's your journey, not mine. I know what I learned from my journey. But I think that if people can just, again, it's just shifting the way they're looking at things and recognizing that they have a choice in how they think about this. And that's just a powerful tool for life as well. I mean, just understanding that everything in life is the way that we think about it. Whatever, any scenario that happens to us, however we choose to think about it is going to be the experience that we have, because our thoughts control our emotions. And so we're going to feel that way, and that's how we're going to go through it. And if we can just train our brain to look at every different scenario and step back, exactly how you said, and use it as an opportunity to learn more about yourself and your own life journey, because we're all traveling this life on our own, right? And we have different people coming in, but we're all here, you know, on our own journey, trying to figure out who we are and what we're meant to do in this world. And I truly believe everyone has this beautiful life purpose within them. And if they do this work and they took these times that are difficult to really figure out, okay, what do I want out of life? How do I want to live? If it's not this, and this goes back to what you said earlier too. So many people leave their divorce and it's like, oh gosh, now what? You know, but if they could see it as a legal process and an emotional process together, and do both of them while they're going through it, then they can really use their divorce as a catalyst to change their whole life, because they can use it and look at every single area. Like, okay, this isn't working. How about my job? Do I like that? Do I like where I live? Do I like my relationship with myself? Am I loving myself? Am I nice to myself? You know what I mean? They can look at everything.
I agree. You know, I'm thinking that maybe all attorneys should be a certified life coach.
Oh my gosh, I know.
That's something a requirement, because they sometimes forget the emotional side of it that people go through. And so maybe that needs to be something, they need to be a certified.
Yes. Well, and that's yeah. And I think that's what you just said. I mean, that truly, in my opinion, is the heart of the brokenness of the family law court system. And that's the only one I know. There are probably other practice areas that need changing too. But with family law, you know, it's just, as an attorney, and it's not that attorneys are bad people. They're not, you know,
we've got some wonderful attorneys, and I never say that. And I know there's a lot of attorneys going this route now.
They should, because I think this is where
mediation as an important factor in their business that will bring families together and everything. We're gonna have to take a quick break though. So
okay.
When we're gonna come back, I'm gonna talk a little bit more about this, because I think it's really an important subject. And those that are traveling through this transition in their life, I think the more that they understand the processes and the more they understand of what choices they can make the right choice. And so that's what's so vital to us today. So we're going to take a quick break, everyone. So I hope you'll stick by us. It's just a few minutes of, not minutes, but actually seconds of silence, so that we can drop in any of our wonderful sponsors that we have in our audio, which gets played on the WGSN-DB Going Solo Network. So just bear with us for about 5 seconds. Okay, great. We're coming back. So this is WGSN-DB Going Solo Network. We are on the Author's Corner, Meet the Author. I am your host, Cece Schatz. I'm the doyenne of relationship building. We have our wonderful, beautiful guest here today, and it's Jen Mitchell. She's a family law attorney, mediator, and she's a health and wellness life coach. What we're talking about today is restructure relationships during and after divorce. And she has a wonderful business here, and let's put it up. She's from Illinois, and it's Solace Divorce Mediation. And so first part of the show, we covered a lot already, didn't we, Jen?
We did. It's awesome.
Now, this is such an important subject. It truly is an important subject. And, you know, like they were saying, people were telling me like 50% or 60% of people are getting divorced. And, you know, you're getting so much of that. And then you get the second time divorces. And so let's talk a little bit about mediation, because a lot of people are confused. Now, our state here in Florida, mediation is a requirement.
Oh, good.
So, but it's not really done. Well, I shouldn't say this, but I think at times it's not really perceived as a way of settling.
Right.
It seems here to be perceived as a way of kind of letting your cards out as to what it is you want. And then the litigation starts battering back and forth. So if we are a person that's going through that transition and we're going through the mediation part, we're thinking about the mediation, what would you suggest to people? Should they go outside and get their own mediator to try? Because a lot of these mediators that are for here in Florida,
I know what you're,
appointed. So they're not quite the mediator that you and I are seeing. Yeah.
Illinois is the same.
Oh, it's not always like that, but I'm just sometimes it is like that. So would you suggest them go out and find someone like yourself or someone that is looking to really try to bring the family unit together and create, you know, this division that needs to take place, but also keep the family intact? So what would you say on that?
Yeah, I would say, and it's so funny because in Illinois, we have the same. When I was a litigator, if there are children involved, there's court-ordered mediation, and it's through like, I don't even know, and I feel bad saying this, but I almost feel like it's attorneys that were reprimanded that have to do it, and they're there's not a lot of passion, and it was very rare for couples to even come out with any agreements about it. It was basically just a step in the litigation process. So I hear exactly what you're saying. I would say for anyone who is finding themselves in, the midst of what you and I both know, and it's a very overwhelming time, even when you start thinking about divorce, it's like, wait, am I really thinking this? Is this really what I think we should do? I think just exploring options is so powerful. I think there's two keys that I always share in every consultation that I do that are really important for people to know when they're starting this journey. The first and foremost is that every single state has their own law. It's one law, one governing law. It's the same law that's applied inside the courtroom as is used outside the courtroom. So I think one misperception of mediation is people think, oh, it's going to be a free-for-all. I'm totally going to get screwed over and I'm not going to, be able to get everything that I deserve to get. And that couldn't be further from the truth. At least in Illinois, we have, the Illinois Marriage and Dissolution of Marriage Act. So that is what we use in mediation. If you choose to mediate, the difference between litigation and mediation is that in litigation, you're going to
Sorry.
No, that's okay.
What happened there? And I thought, oh my gosh.
Oh my God, I love your face. That was so cute.
I was like, oh, I'm so sorry. Yeah, no, go ahead.
I was just in litigation, you each have your own attorneys. And like I shared, your attorney is advocating for your individual best interests. Well, you're two different people. So you have two different best interests, but you're of the same family if you have children. And so we can't just look at the individual. But in litigation, at the end of the day, your attorneys are going to advocate for you. And then the judge, who, yes, is wearing a robe and usually is elevated in the front of the courtroom setting, but that judge has never met your children. That judge has never lived one day in your marriage. That judge is making the decisions for you. So it's important for couples to understand that there is this governing law. And so it's not a free-for-all. It's basically a foundation for all the conversations that you need to have in order to get your divorce, in order to have the judge sign off on the judgment and enter all your agreements as court orders and legally dissolve the bonds of matrimony. But you can do it together. And I think that is the biggest hurdle, is for people, because people are almost, and that's going back to what we said earlier, the word divorce. Like when you say the word divorce, people are like, oh, like it's a bad word, I want to change it. I want people, instead of the response when you say you're going to divorce, being like, oh, I'm so sorry, what happened? I want people to be like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited for you. I can't wait to see how much you grow and what happens in your new life experience, like.
Yeah, I agree. Well, too, if we can think about the divorce in two different sections, like for instance, the division of stuff,
right.
one section, but then it's the building of another. Yes. And so often we leave that building part out, the building of how are we going to step forward in our relationships with our children? How are we going to step forward in relationships with each other as we go forward? We don't incorporate that building part in the divorce. It's always just divide. Well, which is why the divorce, I think, wonder is it's almost like, DIV. It's like a divide.
Yeah.
So I agree with you on that. I think we need to change that whole name.
We do. We need a whole different, we need a whole shift. Because people are programmed too to think, okay, if I'm going to get a divorce, that means we're going to fight. We're going to spend so much money. We're going to hate each other. Our kids are going to be negatively affected. I mean, every consult that I do that has children, that is the main concern. How are our kids going to be affected? And I tell all of them, the choice is yours. Individually as parents and together as co-parents, you decide how your kids are going to be affected. I reject that whole narrative that was so prevalent where it's, children of divorce are not going to grow up to be as great as kids that have parents that stay together. That's ridiculous. I mean, obviously,
ridiculous. Yeah.
If the parents are connected and lovey-dovey and going on dates and having fun, of course, that's wonderful. And like you said, it's very difficult to break up your family unit in the way that it was where everyone was in one home, but you're still a family. You're just two different families. And I think divorce can be a very powerful experience for our children too. We just have to be more open to talking about it and recognizing it for what it is, you know?
And design it the way we want it to be designed. I mean, I can just share with you that several times I've done things with for my son, games or whatever, and I'll sit with my ex-husband and we'll be together, and people think that we're together,
Oh yeah.
And then when we gonna go our different ways, I'll say, well, I'll see you later. And they go, you guys don't live together? I go, no, we don't live together. I'm like 4 hours away. I mean, we're totally separated from each other, but people think that we're together because of the unit that we have created for our son.
Which is beautiful. That's beautiful. And it's beautiful for both of you. It is hard. It's not easy. It's not easy, but it's important, and it's our life. I mean, I really think too, for people, going back with your question of, what I share with people who are starting this with regards to like litigating or mediating, another really powerful thing to think about is if you have kids, this is the rest of your life. Like in the state, right? And again, I'm from Illinois. So in Illinois, it says your kids emancipate when they turn 18 or when they graduate high school, whichever one is later. But as you know, and as I know, and anyone who has parents or children that are older than 18 knows, it's a forever thing. And so I think people should be thinking about that more too, because when they're litigating, the litigation, and this is in my book too, Divorce Revolution, the litigation process is solely focused on the past. All of the pleadings entered are based on past experiences. And so what that's doing is it's just forcing people to relive this ickiness that brought them to getting a divorce. And they're doing it in their present moment, which is taking away from their present life experience. And it's absolutely, it's hindering their future life experience. It's making that co-parenting relationship really difficult, because at the foundation of a good co-parenting relationship is solid communication, trust, and respect. And that's real hard to have that when you litigate. And so I think people who are starting thinking about this, and you brought up the numbers, right? I think COVID is making couples either realize, we're great, we're awesome, or we're not, and I don't want to do this anymore. And so I think the numbers might go up more.
They might. They say a lot that it will definitely be going up. But here's the thing. It's like, I often tell everyone that, especially if you have children, they're looking at you. They're watching you. They're seeing how you're going to handle this, how you're going to behave. If you're doing things that create havoc on your spouse just because you want a little bit more money or you want something, that's not going to hold you in high esteem with your kids. And so that's something that you'll have to live with for the rest of your life. You want to look in the mirror and say, I've done everything that I could possibly do. I did the best job I could do. Yes. So that, at the end of the day, that's what we really want to do. And I love what you do. I truly do. I mean, I think it's great. I love the idea of the mediation, looking at the emotional part of it, and honoring and respecting people as to what they're going through, because so often we don't, as we just move through this process. Yeah.
And building stronger children of divorce. I mean, a huge powerful narrative to our kids, of parents going through a divorce is sometimes things don't work out the way you think they're going to. And that's just like a truth throughout life. And it's good for kids to know this. And it's good for us to show our vulnerability with our children and recognizing, look, I'm your mom. Yes. And I love you. And I'm so happy I'm your mom. I'm also a person, and I'm doing the best that I can. And bringing our kids into this conversation, because while it is, the parents, mom and dad, or mom, dad, whatever the dynamic, right, who are going through it, the family is too, and the kids are. And I think that's really important. And I love that you brought that up about, the marital property division and how it's going to affect our children, and really being mindful with all of it. And I think with marital property as a coach, I mean, there are so many different things that go into those conversations. Marital property, money, and our relationship with money, and our way of feeling about things and security, and going from 2 incomes to 1, there's so much like deep rooted beliefs and habits and patterns. And I think if we can talk about those and recognize them for what they are and look at the bigger picture of, look, this is what we're trying to do here. We're trying to get you both to a place where you can both come to an agreement that you both feel good about, so you both can continue to co-parent and be kind to one another and not have your kids see you hating one another, and where you both leave this marriage and you're both financially secure. That's the goal. Let's make sure you're both good, because if you're not, it's not going to be good for your co-parenting relationship. It's not going to be good for your kids.
It makes the kids feel insecure. If one is doing really, really well,
yes,
and the other parent is really struggling, that's not good for the kids. It really gives them off balance. It gives them a sense of insecurity. And so we need to look at that to make sure that our kids feel secure as they're traveling through their life. And then also, the biggest thing I think that we overlook sometimes is the fact that we get these difficult situations in life, whether it be divorce, whether it be illness, or whatever. It's how we handle those difficult things.
Yes.
That's what we want to teach our kids. It's like, okay, this sucks, but how do we get through it? You know, how are we going to handle this in the best and the most positive way? To transition our lives and move forward into a new life, stepping stone into a new life. And
absolutely.
That many times people, and I know you've seen this, Jen, is that once they've traveled through that transition and they get to the other side of it and they are doing the co-parenting and they are doing a good thing, they really start to step into a beautiful life.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's what I think divorce is. I think, divorce is, like I said, that energy imbalance. And when it's not working anymore, when you're not learning and you're not growing from one another anymore, I really just see it as a time to just restructure. And that just means that we're supposed to have new experiences and new people in our lives. And I think all of this that we're talking about is so powerful for children to hear and to see, to watch their parents, and for parents to share with them. We've come, we both have come to the decision, not mom wanted to do this or dad wanted to, or mom, whatever it is, right? We both came to this decision, and showing our kids that, when things don't work out the way that you think they're going to, you have a choice. You can choose to stay in something that isn't serving you anymore and that's making you really uncomfortable, because that's what happens. People start getting uncomfortable. They start getting angry. They start getting frustrated. They start getting overwhelmed. Maybe they start drinking a lot of alcohol or doing other things that are damaging. To try to numb it out, or to try to, just completely forget about it or be okay with it. But I think it's powerful to share with our kids, when you get to this point, you have a choice, and you can choose to stay in that and be angry that it didn't work out the exact way you wanted it to be. Or you can choose to love and respect yourself so much to understand, I have another choice, and I have one life to live, and I want to live the best version of my life that I can possibly live. And I'm going to use this as something that I can learn from, as a tool that I can put in my toolbox to look at, okay, just like you shared before, right? How did we get here? What was my part in it? What was my spouse's part? What did I like? What did I not like? How do I want the rest of my life to look? And teach our children that, because that is what life is, right? And it's adapting, and it's changing, and it's learning, and it's growing, and we only have one of them to live. So we might as well live it the best that we can and be kind and respectful and loving and share our light with the world. And we can't share our light with the world if we're being blocked by something that isn't serving us.
Right.
And so all of it is what it is. And I also firmly believe our children choose us to be their parents, and they choose us for a reason. Each parent gives them different love, teaches them different lessons, and even a divorce, the kids are going to learn from that. Whatever lessons they were meant to learn, which are theirs and theirs alone to learn, right? They're going to learn those. And if we can just be a supporting, loving family unit during this restructuring and after, as we continue to co-parent and as they get into adulthood and maybe have their own children, and then we're grandparents together, you know what I mean? It's just mindfulness, and it's just enjoying this life experience.
Absolutely. You're so right. Well, let's talk about something really important. When is book going to be finished when the editing?
Oh my gosh. I'm hoping in the next month. I'm so excited for it. I'm so excited to just get it out there. And really, it's Divorce Revolution, debunking the litigation myth. And the heart of that is what we've been talking about. I think so many people are trained to think they have to litigate. And I really want to get those cases out of court. I think court is necessary for cases that involve like abuse or neglect, something like that. We need the court. We need a judge to intervene and guide couples when there's something like that happening. The vast majority of cases do not need to do that. They really don't. And my goal with all my clients is, if you can do this outside and work together to create these agreements, you can do that in the future too. You don't ever need to go to court. Like, you don't ever need to. You can if you want, but you don't need to, So that's what the book is about. I'm hoping it's going to be done in the next couple months, because I would love for it to be out for the new year. Fresh start, letting people.
That would be absolutely great. I want to also share all of your information. So if anyone wants to contact you, they can.
Oh, perfect.
Esquire, and it's Solace Divorce Mediation. And her email is I just put the admin one up.
That's perfect. Yeah.
And at solacedivorce.com. And then her phone number is 708-222-7335. And then, of course, the website is solacedivorcemediation.com. Go on her website and check it out, because she has a very nice website. And
we're doing a rebrand. I just got the proof of it today. So it's so exciting. It's going to be just beautiful and magical, and so much information. I'm also on Facebook, and I'm doing 35 days of Facebook Lives. And so every day has a different topic. Monday is divorce. Tuesday is co-parenting. Wednesday is self-care and self-love. Thursday is COVID tips, so we can all come out COVID strong. And then Friday is manifesting. It's really figuring out and getting the tools that you need to live your best life. And what do you want out of life? So those are really fun too for people, especially during COVID. This time is really difficult for people. And so it's just, I'm here to serve people and give information and hopefully lift them up so they're inspired to, share their light with the world and help raise the energetic vibration of this planet together.
Yeah, absolutely. That's exactly what we need to do. And you're definitely doing it. You're a delight. And
you are too. I love you.
It's gone by so quickly and so much.
I know.
I hope the takeaway people can get is that you can take divorce, and even though it's a very difficult situation, you can turn it into a positive one. So
you can. If it's happening anyway, why not? Why not?
Yeah. Is there any last words that you'd like to share with the audience?
I am just so grateful to be able to share this with everyone. I hope that people embrace their power in being the best authorities to determine what's in the best interest of their children and what's a fair and equitable way to divide their marital property, because it's theirs. I really just want to encourage people to embrace their power, that they can do this. They can do it. It's not easy to talk to your spouse, but if you have, a guide that serves as your mediator who knows the law and who hopefully has the life coaching principles that can help, support the emotional processing, you can get through it and you can come out the other side. And if you choose, you can come out stronger than you went in, which is the goal for all cases. We want everyone to be stronger from divorce as opposed to destroyed. And that is the true divorce revolution, because the more people who come out of this experience sharing what they've learned and how their life has changed and how happy they are and how great their kids are doing, because their kids are seeing both parents thriving and getting along and just maintaining this family dynamic, the less we'll have that social stigma. That's this awful thing with divorce. It doesn't have to be awful. It can be one of the most extraordinary opportunities for growth that we are given in this lifetime.
Yeah, well, this is a beautiful show. I think this really turned out very nicely, and I'm just really happy to have you on.
Oh, Cece, I love you. I'm so grateful to be connected with you.
And Jen Mitchell is also one of our elite guests, so all of her information will be right there on our website. All you have to do is just click on her links right there, so you can get everything, and then her show will be up there for you guys to listen to. But I do want to thank you so much for being on the show. We really had a great time. I think we covered a lot in a very short
time.
Come back on again for sure.
I would love to. I love talking with you, Cece. Thank you for the work that you're doing. It's amazing. It's extraordinary.
Well, thank you so much. Well, we're going to have to close out the show. Of course,
Okay.
you guys, you're listening to WGSN-DB Going Solo Network. This is the Author's Corner. Meet the author. I am Cece Schatz, a doyen of relationships. Our website is goingsolomedia.com. Again, if you want to email me, I love to hear from you. Our email is goingsolonetwork@gmail.com. And bye for now. We'll catch you next week. Bye.